What's up, guys? So, welcome. This is the big workshop, the fourth one. This is the time where we want to talk about the big guns, the big issue. For the last few workshops, we discussed some pieces of the big issue. And today in this workshop, we want to look at what the actual problem is. Once we understand what the actual problem is, then it's going to be quite simple to overcome that actual problem. So you can see what are the steps to take, or better said, the shifts to have, for us to go from where we are right now, stressing out about relationships, and not having a relationship that's really beautiful and enjoyable and easy and natural. So from there to actually having a great relationship where we don't need to worry about our partner, our woman, our man. We don't need to worry about our partner leaving us or not liking us or being unfaithful. And we don't need to worry about, trusting them or not trusting them and being jealous or not being jealous, or saving a relationship, or trying to hold on to a relationship, or convincing a woman to love you, or like how do you approach things in the relationship so that it doesn't push your partner away. Like in relationship paradise, you don't need to worry about those things because those things are very natural. The only place where we worry about those things is where we have a lot of fear, right? A lot of insecurity. So it's what we call the relationship hell, where we're stressed, we're struggling, we're afraid. And at the same time, this is making us hold on to our partner. So it's making us be quite needy. So in this workshop, I want to clarify for you what the actual problem is. So it's one problem, but we can say that it almost has it's like a coin with two sides, right? It has two expressions of this one problem. So we want to look at what the problem is, what the two sides of it are, and then once we're clear on that, we want to look at what are the building blocks, basically. What's the bridge from that problem to the solution, right? So we're going to look at those shifts we need to have so that you can solve the problem. Now, before I introduce what this problem is, it took me many years to figure this out. I used to be, struggling actually with girls as well, with women. About 10 years ago, it was very hard for me to have a relationship and keep it going and not be taken for granted, which was usually happening. I was the nicest, the kindest, the most caring guy ever, which is not a problem. But if you're only nice and kind and caring, and it's coming from a place of fear, from a place of trying to keep a girl or convince her to like me, then the women I was with, although they liked me in some ways, they took me for granted as well. They got bored. And they just weren't actually happy to be in this relationship with a man who is only kind and caring, and at the same time does that because, first of all, he doesn't understand that more is needed. And second of all, because he is also afraid of losing. So it was all coming from a fear of loss. So it was a journey to figure this out. It was a pretty hard journey and a very confusing one. Took me a few years to really figure this out. It took me about a year to figure out the core solution, and then a few more years to really understand and stabilize it and feel like this is it, this is the solution, this was the problem, this was the solution. And then for the last 5 years, I've been helping, 5 or 6 actually, helping men with the same problem and overcoming it. So in the last 10 years, this has become a very clear framework and a very simple understanding of relationships that most people don't have and will never have actually. that's why I call this issue, which we're going to discuss in a moment, an invisible issue almost. Because most people have no idea that this is what's really running the show in the background. Like on the surface here, there's all kinds of problems we think we have in a relationship, but in the background, what's really running the show is something else. It's fear, right? And the expression of fear. So, I talk to a lot of men who are interested in working together, who then, eventually end up working together if they're ready and if they're a good fit. So when guys come to me, they think they need advice. They think they need, okay, tell me what do I say? Tell me what do I do? How do I solve this problem? How do I get my ex back? How do I, convince my woman to stay with me, my wife to stay with me? Or how do I, convince this or make this girl that I'm at work in love with, make her like me and have a relationship with me? So guys come to me, they are interested in getting some advice. But the reason they need the advice is because they're missing the actual foundation. Because if we had the foundation, the advice would not be necessary, because we would know exactly what to do and what to say. So this session, this bridge, is about having that foundation, understanding what the foundation is, and what it means to not have it. So guys come and they ask for advice, but even when I read the applications, it's very clear what the problem is, because there's just one problem that most people have, right? So we want to discuss what this problem is. Now, most people go through life, through a whole lifetime of many failed relationships without realizing what this problem is actually. This is the thing that's been really ruining things for them. So without further ado, the actual issue is actually the mindset. So it's our inherent, as human beings, we have this need to seek security, to find security in different things. Like we find security in money, we find security in relationships, we find security in people, we find security in having objects, having status, all kinds of things. And one of the ways in which we look for that security, emotional security, that's what I mean, is relationships, is a relationship with a person we love. So that leads to us being needy in a relationship. The moment we find someone that we find attractive, that we like, that we enjoy being with, all of a sudden we appreciate her so much, we like her so much, or him. So then, because we like that person, instantly we become afraid of losing them. So we feel like she's my source of happiness, or he's my source of happiness. He's my source of security. I need this person to be happy, to have a relationship. And this is basically what we call a needy mindset. This is the default way we humans approach relationships. So the mindset is the core problem, right? Is the core issue that is, it's like a magnet in our head. Like imagine, you have a magnet in your head, and whenever you care about someone, the magnet starts repelling them away. Because the magnet has two sides. Like if you turn it the other side, it gets very close to something, to, let's say, to other magnets or to iron, right? But if you turn it the opposite, it's going to repel. So our mindset, our neediness, that's almost like a smell that is given off, which it can be sensed by our partner, is what pushes someone away. So that's the mindset. And once we change the mindset from a needy mindset, basically is an insecure mindset, is an insecure approach to relationships. It's an approach where I don't feel good enough without you. I don't feel good enough without a relationship. I'm afraid of losing you. I don't feel like I'm complete. So I need you, right? So this is all an insecure approach to relationships. So when we become secure, when we change that mindset from insecure to secure, then it's like a magnet is turned around. And we no longer repel our partner away with our need for them. Like you might have experienced in your life, previous relationships or previous people who liked you so much that they were so into you, they were so desperate toward you, they wanted you, they needed you, they wanted you to like them and to be with them and spend time with them, and they did everything they could to make you happy, or to just spend some time with you, or to please you. You might have felt that in the past, and you felt that because you actually didn't like that person so much, you actually didn't resonate with them, but they did with you, they wanted you. So you felt the effects of neediness from someone else. But then it's the same thing that we do to the woman we like or to the man we like, that is repelling them away. Because if we're acting this way, it's because this is betraying the fact that our mindset is an insecure one, is a needy one. So when guys come to me and they ask for advice, they're not aware of the fact that just the fact that they are reaching out and they are trying to save a relationship or to get an ex back, just the fact that they are reaching out for help means that they need this person. Now, reaching out for help is a good thing, because then when you do talk to me, I point out that, hey, you don't need to get her back. You need to overcome your mindset, change your mindset, become a secure person, and then she will want you back, or she will never leave you. So when people ask for help, they don't realize that this is actually the problem. It's our mindset, it's our need for our ex, for our present partner, or for a partner in general, or for a specific person. It's okay to need a relationship. It's okay to need to have a good relationship in your life. The problem is when we have this focus of, I need this person, I need them. Without them, I'm not going to be happy. Actually, when we change the focus from I need this person to I need a great relationship with this person or with someone else, then this is the person who wants to give us that great relationship. So that's a bit of a kind of sidetrack here. But again, going back to the main issue, to the main problem, we don't realize that this need for someone is exactly what's pushing them away, right? So that's the needy mind. That's the effect. That's one side of the mindset. The need that, let's say this is the coin, right? It's the needy mindset. So it has two sides. One, it reflects in what we call neediness, which could be seen as codependency, or could be seen as just an attachment to this person or to a person, to being with someone, and a holding on and a fear of loss, which is exactly what's pushing someone away. Now, the other side of the coin is what we call niceness. So in the Relationship Paradise group, I recently made a video and I talked about these two things, right? Which, I said are the main issue that are repelling people away. And these are the two things, basically. One is neediness and the other one is niceness. So they kind of sound similar, which is easy to remember. So neediness and niceness. Now, of course, the problem is not being a kind person, a nice person. The problem is what that niceness is really and means really, and what it comes from, which we'll cover in a second. But neediness and niceness comes from this fear-based mindset, right? This fear-based default approach to relationships, that when we care about someone, we also become afraid of losing them because we feel, so it's this insecure approach to relationships, this grasping approach. That's the issue that we need to understand, that as long as we have that mindset, which is the default for most human beings, which again, most relationships don't work out because one of the partners has this mindset. Actually, both partners typically have it, but if you're approaching it from this fear-based approach, from this fear-based place, then your partner will leave. And then she may go on, have another relationship. And then maybe her new partner is more relaxed, is more secure, and then she becomes needy. Even though in the relationship with you, she wasn't needy. You were the needy one, let's say. So if this is the main issue, the mindset, the needy mindset, which is like the operating system, which needs to be upgraded and changed. And we'll discuss how we change that. And there's 4 shifts that allow us to change the mindset, right? So if this is the issue, then it has these 2 sides. One is it reflects in neediness, in anxiety, in fear of loss, in seeking a lot of reassurance and being tolerant and being, like, we give off this sense of I need you in my life, right? So that's neediness. And the other thing it reflects in is niceness. So the neediness is really about how we think, right? And then the niceness is how we behave. And here's how it looks like. Like, if I'm afraid of losing my partner, then of course I'm going to try to be as nice as I can, because I think that if the nicer I am, the more, and nice here means pleasing, right? So we try to please our partner. So niceness is not about being a good person, it's about being a pleasing person, a people pleaser. So we try to please our partner at the expense of our own happiness. When we do that, this pleasing behavior, is what we think will allow us to keep this person, because I'm needy already, so I'm afraid of losing my wife, my partner, let's say. So of course I'm going to try to be nice. So it's going to reflect in niceness, in this pleasing behavior. I'm going to try to be understanding. I'm going to try to do what she thinks is best, and really always ask what she thinks, and always be as understanding as possible. And if she does something that bothers me, then I'm not gonna speak up too much. And if I do speak up, I'm not gonna be very firm, because I'm afraid of creating too much tension. So that niceness is actually the second problem. So the first one, like we said, is neediness. The other one is niceness. Now, most people go through a lifetime having these two issues, right? Because of the needy mindset, it reflects in these two things, right? We feel needy and we act nice, pleasing, right? And guys come to me and they say, well, help me, tell me what I should do. And I can help you and so on, because that's how I thought that was the solution, to know the strategies for attraction and so on. But actually, no matter if, I can share that advice, the problem is that the actual problems are never solved. The mindset is the same, so it reflects in the same neediness and in the same kind of niceness and people-pleasing behavior. And even if you get your ex back, you're going to still be the same needy person, the same fear-based, insecure lover. So then you're going to lose them again. And then let's say that your partner you're still in a relationship and she wants to leave, and she's not sure, and she's being more cold, and she's not texting you back and so on. I can tell you 5 texts to send her to reignite the spark a bit, but then you're still the same needy and nice person. Again, nice is not being kind, it's about trying to please at the expense of your own happiness, instead of being authentic. So then, these are the actual issues which most people go through life struggling with, and instead of finally overcoming. So therefore, if we want to have a good love life, a relationship that actually works, a marriage that actually works, we want to change the needy mindset, basically the insecure mindset, and turn it into a secure one, which will reflect in no longer being needy, right? Feeling like we need this person, and her feeling like, okay, he needs me, so I cannot desire him now. And it will reflect in no longer being nice, actually in being authentic. So it's not about being a good person. Again, it's about being authentic. And authentic and honest sometimes will mean not being so nice. It will mean being really disappointed with your partner's behavior. It may mean being clear that you don't like something. And this is not always nice. It doesn't mean you have to be aggressive and so on. But it does mean that if we always try to please our partner and we're afraid of creating any tension, we're afraid of speaking up and letting them know what bothers us, and really standing our ground, no matter what they say, because we know it's not okay, then that's not always so nice, right? It's not perceived as being nice. Yet when we are authentic, then this allows us to actually be respected, to actually be a challenge to our partner, and to actually ignite desire, to become attractive, because we're no longer so nice. So people think that the nicer we are, the more affection we give, the more love we give, the more understanding we are, the more effort we put, right, this niceness, then that's how you have a relationship, that's how you make it work. But the reality is that this is exactly what ruins relationships. If you only have this thing, you're nice instead of being authentic. This is exactly what bores to death a woman and a man. So I was just talking a few days ago with a woman from this group actually, and she was telling me how she's seeing this guy and he's not very sure about being with her and so on. So I asked her, like, are you like a nice girl trying to always make him happy and so on? And she said yes. And I said, well, that's a big part of the problem. That niceness is boring as hell to him. Just like if a guy is only nice guys, right? The typical nice guys that I used to be, we are boring as hell, and we actually don't satisfy our partner properly. Because part of satisfying our partner also means challenging them. And to challenge them, we cannot be nice. We have to actually be honest and authentic and really express what we don't like, and be even playful, and be even tease and even push them away a little bit, and really be playful in that way. So niceness is not enough. But we think, because we're afraid, we have this needy mindset, we think that's the safe option, which is actually not safe, because it keeps ruining every relationship and boring every woman and every partner we have. This niceness keeps boring every person we have, and we've taken for granted because of it. And as human beings, we need not just the affection which the niceness gives, but the challenge as well, which that honesty leads to. So we need that challenge. And because we don't know that as human beings we need, our partner needs that challenge, we only give them the affection, the niceness. Because again, because we're needy, we have the needy mindset. And this makes them take us for granted, and the need for challenge is not being fulfilled actually. So the need for challenge is still there, which is not being met. That's why women and men go ahead and are unfaithful and cheat and see other people and so on, because they want that spark, they want that passion, they want that challenge, they want someone to conquer and work for and fight for. And if you're needy and nice, you cannot be the person that she or he can fight for and work hard to keep and really be excited to be with. Because of the needy mindset, you already need them, right? So, and she knows that. And also, you're always like there and trying to please and so on. So, most guys and women will go a lifetime without understanding these things. Understanding that their neediness and their niceness, which is again, two reflections of the needy mindset, of let's say the fear-based insecure mindset. That this is exactly what's ruining relationships. And they're always complaining that I've done everything for my woman. I've put, so much effort, and, she doesn't appreciate me, and she, takes me for granted, and even worse, she's, seeing some other guy. Or women will say that men are bastards, and like they're always cheaters, and you cannot trust a man, and all kinds of stuff. But they don't understand that it's not about the man or the woman. It's not about the partner. The problem is not there. The problem is here. It's in your mindset. This mindset, right, is the problem. Because your way, let's change the word mindset with approach. Your approach to relationships is a fear-based one, is one where I am afraid of losing this person. I need this person. And that, again, reflects in us being needy and nice and people-pleasing. So if we want to have a turning point, let's say your life is going like this, right? Like your love life is going like this. And it sucks. It's relationship hell. It's not really working out well. You're being taken for granted. Your partner is leaving at some point. They're not motivated to make you happy, to stay with you, and so on. So it's going like this. If we want, because of the default insecure approach, right? It's like this. Then, if we want to have a turning point in our love life, to go like this, right? Because if we keep having the same mindset, then it's gonna keep going like this for a lifetime. We're going to go from relationship to relationship, relationship to relationship, and still struggle, still push away, repel our partner all the time. Because we have the same, I need you and I'm going to try to please you approach. Again, these are just reflections of the operating system, right? Of the mindset which we need to change into a secure one, right? So what we need is, if we don't change that, what happens is that it keeps going like this. I work with men who are like 59 or even 74, a guy, or I worked with a woman, she was 62, I think, or 64. So very old people, and not that they're very old, but like older people, and then 50 and then 40 and much younger. And they've gone through a lifetime of pushing their partner away and being taken for granted and having all kinds of drama and really not having that relationship paradise. Because of the same needy mindset, which has been reflecting in, again, neediness and niceness, thinking this is the solution, right? Like, I need to be afraid of losing someone and I need to please them, which is, the farthest thing from the truth in the world, because that's exactly what's ruining relationships. So if we don't change that, we have the same kind of storyline of suffering. However, if we do change the mindset, then it's like we have a huge turning point in our life. Our life has gone, until now, was not so happy in terms of relationships. And all of a sudden, we change the mindset, and all of a sudden, we have a huge turning point. And from that moment on, we become the person who can have an amazing relationship, who can have an easy relationship, a relaxed one, and really experience that paradise, where we can be relaxed and we can be loved for exactly who we are. So yeah, that's basically the problem, and then the effects it has. Now let's talk about the bridge. How do we change this mindset, right? How do we, it's almost like, how do we change our operating system? This tends to be a tough question that most people have no answer to. There's so many coaches and therapists and people who are helping other people with relationships, but most of them are not really focusing on changing the mindset completely and holistically, which is why most people keep struggling with relationships. Or they just help with a few pieces of the mindset, not with the whole thing. So let's say some experts, they work on confidence. Some of them work on setting boundaries. Some of them work on you being more independent. Most people don't, never work on fear of loss, which is really the core. So, I've worked with many people who have done different coaching with different people, and they have tried therapy for many years. They have read books, many books. They have, bought courses. They've been to events. They've tried different things. But all of those things were really on the surface of relationships, or just bits and pieces of the actual core root problem, which is the needy mindset, right? And again, most people don't focus on this. Most experts don't focus on this because they don't know of its importance. They don't know that this is actually the root issue, that when I need you, you run away. And when, an example is that if the marriage is not working out, let's say, and the guy freaks out and he wants to save the marriage because they have 2 kids, for example, so he convinces the girl to go to counseling and save the marriage. So they go to counseling, and then the therapist starts, asking questions and trying to hear them both, and, seeing what the issue is, and, and then sometime it can go to love languages and so on. And the therapist has no idea that the only reason why the woman has lost interest is because she can feel that the man needs her. That's why she lost interest at the root. And not only that this is what pushed her away and made her lose the spark, but now he is even more trying to convince her to save the marriage. And then they go to counseling. He drags her to counseling. And then the therapist looks at them and he says, well, you know what, seems like your wife is not really being fulfilled. So I think you should figure out what her love language is and put even more effort into pleasing her. But she's already not interested. And that's exactly what's been turning her off all the time. His need of her, his fear of losing her, his fear of losing the marriage. There might have been some other things on the surface, like him being neglectful and so on, but those are really surface stuff. At its core, the problem is his need and fear of losing her. And that's why most, therapy and counseling doesn't really work, because, again, most people are missing the actual problem. So once we really work on focus really on ourselves, and instead of focusing on our partner, getting her back, keeping her, saving anything, we really turn the focus to ourselves, and we're like, you know what? I'm experiencing these problems. I need to work on myself. I need to do the inner work of no longer being the magnet that repels. But when I care, I instantly repel as well. So I need to do the inner work to turn around the magnet, and instead of being that insecure person who repels, and also tries to hold on and tries to always be nice and kind of be nice and people pleasing, I'm going to do the inner work to turn around the mindset and become secure, so that I can be relaxed and I am no longer going to repel someone away. And when that happens, that's when the turning point happens. Because all of a sudden, we become this person who is not grasping, who is not needy. And because we're not needy, we're not pushing people away. We're not giving off this smell through our actions, through our words, through our reactions to things, and so on. So, again, the question is, how do we change the mindset? Like, what's the bridge from having this needy mindset, which, again, most people have, to being a secure person and having that relationship paradise, where we can be relaxed and we can actually be desirable. We can be irreplaceable to a woman or to a man. We can actually be irreplaceable, because what makes us replaceable is that needy mindset. When we are secure, we become irreplaceable. We become naturally attractive. We become naturally desirable, which I will discuss a bit more later on. So then what's the bridge between hell and paradise? A needy mindset and a secure mindset, right? How do you get from point A, hell, to paradise? And that, over the years, in my experience, that has worked for me and for the men I've been working with, this is a process that I've created to change the mindset. So there's 4 basic, let's call them shifts. You could see them as steps, but it's not about really a step. It's nothing you have to do. It's a shift. It's a mentality shift. It's a mindset shift. It's a change in how you see things. So there's like 4 main shifts which must happen. And once they happen, by the end of those 4 shifts, once we stack them together, one on top of the other, by the end of it, our whole approach to relationship changes. We're no longer, trying to hold on to someone. We're very relaxed in the relationship. We can call it really the relaxed man's way, relaxed lover's way of approaching relationships, which is when they actually work, right? So we'll discuss what happens once the 4 shifts are put in place. For now, let's discuss briefly what these shifts are. So for us to change the mindset, the operating system, we need to cover 4 areas, 4 important areas that have to do with our inner work. The first one has to do with how we see ourselves. So with our identity as a person, with our confidence, self-esteem, self-love, self-worth. These are all one category. So this is about really going deep in this area of identity, let's call it. So going very deep and really experiencing a change in how you see yourself. A shift, which is what I call a shift, a mindset shift. Now, once we experience that shift, an example of a shift is that until now, you may think that I'm not sure that I'm good enough for a woman. I'm not sure, that if she finds someone better, then she's going to leave me, and my partner may cheat on me, or if they leave, I'm not good enough. So we have this self-doubt. The shift is going from self-doubt to let's say, being sure of your value, being very comfortable with your value, being very aware of your values. That's the shift that needs to happen. From one way of being to a different way of being. From being doubting yourself in general, or especially when your partner seems to be cold and seems to not care about you. This is when really our self-doubt kicks in, or it's being triggered. When our partner seems to lose interest or wants to leave us, or maybe has even cheated, or maybe previous women in the past, or men in the past have taken us for granted, have mistreated us. Our value has suffered a hit. Our self-esteem has suffered a hit. So this is the first shift that has to do with how we see ourselves, from doubting ourselves to always solidly knowing that we are amazing as we are. So it's a shift where we really fix our self-esteem, and we do it once and for all for the rest of our life, because we start seeing the actual truth of our value. Now, once we handle that, let's simplify it and say that it's really about falling in love with who you are. For simplicity, again, this is a deep conversation that needs to be had, which is what we're going to do in the Secure Mindset School, which right now actually we are, the applications are open, and if you're interested, you can join us. You need to go to thesecureman.com/mindset, and you can apply for a short call. You can see if it's a fit. We have 7 spaces. Actually, a few already are taken, so we still have some space. And if it's a good fit, you may join us. So that's where we have those deep conversations where you actually get to experience those 4 shifts, right? But for now, I want you to understand what the shifts are. So again, this is a deep conversation that allows us in the end to have this shift in our way of seeing ourselves. So again, for simplicity, it's like falling in love with who you are. The second shift has to do with what your source of happiness is. So where do you get your happiness from? Most of us, we see that most of our happiness comes from the relationship, from this person, from being with this person. So for us to experience a shift, what needs to happen is that, again, it's a deep conversation that has to lead to this shift of needing her, depending on her to be happy or on him to be happy, to actually finding the real source of happiness, which is not just her, it's not just your life or your life in general. It's a different way of seeing your partner in your life. So this is, again, it's a deep shift that must happen, where, again, for simplicity, we can say you fall in love with your life. So you no longer depend, you become independent in your happiness. From your partner, from your relationship, from your family, you become independent. And you find the real source of happiness. Just like in terms of your identity, you have found your real source of confidence and love. So the first one, falling in love with yourself, that's the first shift that must happen. The second one is falling in love with your life, let's say. The second shift. So a different way of saying it is that you find the real source of love and the real source of happiness. Now, once you have these 2 shifts, it's like you become a complete person. You no longer need this person to make you feel loved and to make you feel happy, because you have found the real source, which is, again, not your partner. Because typically, my source of love is my partner that makes me feel like I'm good enough, and my source of happiness is my partner. So therefore, I'm needy in terms of I need her to make me happy, to make me feel loved. And when we have these first two shifts out of 4, right, what happens is we become independent, we become a complete person who is self-sufficient. Because we really know what the actual source of love and happiness is. So then imagine this 2 shift is like you standing on your 2 legs. So imagine yourself standing, let's say you're standing on top of a mountain, and you're standing on these 2 legs. Each of these legs, one is your happiness, one is your confidence, which is independent from anyone, because you know it's in your power, really. You have found the actual source. And again, it's really about finding those sources and having those solid. That's why the training, the school, the Secure Mindset School, that's what it's meant to do, is to allow you to have that solid confidence and that solid source of happiness. So you no longer depend, right, on your partner. So you have these two legs, you're standing on your own 2 feet, you're a complete person. Now let's look at the other 2 shifts. So the third shift that has to happen, the third piece of the bridge, what we call the bridge from hell to paradise, is about fear of loss. It's about attachment. So we need to let go of fear of loss. So we shift from afraid of losing someone to very secure, relaxed. We're totally fine, totally okay with walking away. If she wants to walk away or he wants to walk away, we're okay with that. We're totally relaxed about it. We can say honestly and really be honest about it and be like, hey, I want to be with you because I love you, but at the same time, we don't have to be together. Like, we're here because we choose to, as long as we want to be here. And if you're not happy, then again, and if we don't have to be together, and if I'm not happy, we can both walk away. Of course, we're not going to walk away, because if we appreciate each other, we can communicate, we can see if we can improve the relationship or improve the marriage, and if we both want to. And if not, it's okay, we can walk away. So we can honestly be relaxed about whether the relationship works or not. So we go from fear of loss to fearlessness, let's say, to being detached, to being relaxed, and no longer afraid. And this requires us to really focus on the fear of loss and overcome that. Now, the way we overcome that, of course, we do this in the Mindset School. There's a few different approaches, but for you to understand a bit what that means, think of it this way. Fear of loss is because we see a breakup as a bad thing. We think it's going to be a terrible thing that's going to happen if we lose our partner. Now, if we come to a point of changing the way we see a breakup, because in reality, a breakup or a divorce or the end of a relationship is not a bad thing. We think it is, which is why we're so needy. We have this needy mindset. We're trying to hold on and grasp. But when we come to see the truth of what a breakup really is, then we're no longer afraid of it. Now, the way we do that is that this fear of loss is like a collection of many different fears, right? So to give you a metaphor, the way we overcome this, imagine fear of loss as a thick rope, maybe that you use like when you go to CrossFit or something, or in high school, like you used to climb this rope, which is very thick. If you try to break the rope, you cannot overcome this fear of loss, because you feel like, well, I love this person, I don't want to lose them no matter what, I want to get them back and so on. So it's inconceivable to break that fear. You feel like, oh, I need this person. But you can break it actually. But you cannot break it like that. What you need to do is need to look at all the fibers and break each fiber. Now we do that in the Secure Mindset School. We have a special process for identifying all of the fears and really reframing them and dissolving them. So by the time you break all of the fears, or the most important fears, then you can break the whole rope. So that's one approach. The other approach that we use, along with many other things, is like you bring in a big scissor and you cut that freaking rope, but a huge one, because it's so thick you cannot break it with your hand. You need a huge scissor. But that scissor is a different way of seeing a breakup. Is coming to see that, truly seeing through a series of metaphors and analogies, and really for you to, through a process of coming closer to the truth of what a breakup is, you come to see that it's not a bad thing to lose someone, because actually it's not a loss. It's actually a gift, it's a win. And actually being in a relationship with that person would have been a loss. So anyway, this requires, again, a deep work that we do in the Mindset School. I mean, that's why I'm starting the Secure Mindset School. So once we overcome that fear of loss, then we look at the fourth shift. And that fourth shift has to do with our ability to speak up, to set boundaries, to respect ourselves. All right, so until now, what we've done is, let's say, in terms of this shift, we have found the source of love, found the source of happiness. We became complete and self-sufficient I'm good without Anyone? We've overcome fear of loss. So imagine, like, you're good. You don't need anybody to feel happy, to feel good about yourself. You're not afraid of losing someone because you know losing someone is not a bad thing, and you really feel that truly in your bones because you've changed your way of seeing things, your mindset, which happens, in the school. It happens through a series of workshops and different ways of seeing. Anyway, it's a specific process that works like a charm. So you're complete, you're self-sufficient, you're not afraid of losing someone. Now, if that's your foundation already, then naturally you're going to want to speak up. You're going to want to tell your partner what you don't like and what you want more of, which is what I call boundaries and standards. Naturally, you're going to communicate and really be firm and kind and really do it properly. Now, in terms of this fourth shift, this goes from, the shift is, for you to understand, it's about going from afraid of losing your partner and therefore tolerating all kinds of bullshit. This is a technical term for things that bother you, bullshit. So from tolerating a lot of bullshit to actually being very honest and very clear about what you don't accept and so on. So the shift happens from being afraid of doing that, of speaking up, to actually realizing that it's your obligation to do that. It's your obligation for yourself, for your own well-being and happiness, and it's your obligation for your partner as well to let them know what they're doing wrong so they can be a better lover for you and for themselves in general, as a lover, as a person. So that shift is a huge one. Plus, in terms of this fourth shift, we need to know what are the big traps that we fall into when we try to speak up. Many guys I talk to, they say, well, I try to speak up in my relationship. I try to tell her what I don't like. I try to, but nothing changes. Nothing changed, right? She didn't take me seriously, or she said she will, but she didn't actually. And then she even criticized me for doing it. So there's many traps we fall into. So this fourth shift has to do with our ability to do it properly and to really feel like we can stand up for ourselves. We can stand our ground. We can be honest. We can communicate, and we can be self-respecting and selective in terms of being with someone or not. So then when we have these four shifts, one after the other, along with a few other things, which I cannot explain, I want to keep it simple for you right now, then by the end of it, our whole approach changes. And to continue that metaphor we discussed previously, imagine yourself on top of a mountain. So you are standing on your 2 feet, right? You're standing on your 2 feet, kind of grounded like this, right? Like a caveman, which is your own self-esteem, your own solid confidence, your own source of happiness. You don't need anybody. You are your own man or your own woman, right? Then you're not afraid of losing your partner. So you're like, imagine yourself being like this, like standing, and you're like taking in the air. You're just enjoying the breeze. You're like a free man. This is freedom, basically, as opposed to fear of loss. So you're free. And then you take your right hand and you point at this person, so you're free, and you point at this woman or this man and you say, hey, I choose you because you make me happy. Because I feel good with you for as long as you make me happy, for as long as we feel good together. So you point at your partner and you choose them. That's, the pointing is really the symbol for speaking up and choosing your partner and knowing that you're here because you enjoy the relationship, and if you don't, then you can speak up, you can, communicate. So you're here because you choose them, not because you need them. So that's a symbol. Imagine yourself doing that, being this kind of person who is grounded, who is free, and who's choosing his partner and is very relaxed and confident. Versus when we don't have that source of self-love, let's say, our identity is really not solid. We have some confidence here and there, but the moment our partner is not interested in us, like all of a sudden we start freaking out. We feel like, oh, am I good enough? Is she gonna cheat on me? Is she gonna leave me? And so on. I'm not successful enough. I'm not handsome enough. My body's not perfect. I don't make enough money. I don't know, my hair is bad, or I'm balding, or like we have all these insecurities. So we're missing that source of, let's say, self-love, of confidence. We're missing that source of happiness because we think she is or he is the source of my happiness, instead of knowing what the actual source is. So we're missing that foundation. We're not sitting on our two legs. Those things are missing. Those shifts are missing, really. And we're like sitting on our knees. We're on our knees, and we're not free of fear of loss, because when we start to care about someone, we actually are afraid of losing them. So instead of being free and relaxed and detached, we are actually very afraid of and holding on. So it's like our hands are tied instead of open, right? They are tied in front of us. And instead of pointing at them and saying, hey, I choose you because you make me happy for as long as you make me happy, as long as this makes sense for us to be together and we make each other happy, basically. Instead of pointing at them and being very relaxed and self-respecting, we're kind of just begging, it's like, just give me what you can. I'm going to tolerate what I can because I don't want to speak up and create tension because I don't want to lose you, right? So just imagine this view, of being on our knees because we're missing that inner foundation. We're afraid of loss, our hands are tied, and we're kind of begging. Now, what kind of confidence do you have like that? What kind of relationship are you going to have when you're like that versus like this and like this? This is just a simple metaphor for you to understand the difference between ways of approaching relationships. One of begging for love, I need you, I'm afraid of losing you, because of the needy mindset. And one of relaxed and being like, hey, sure, let's see. If it makes sense for us to be together, cool. If not, that's fine. All good. And really honestly feeling like that. So that's a change in a mindset. So by the end of these 4 shifts, this is the bridge, basically. It's like one pillar, the second pillar, the third pillar, the fourth pillar. And as you can see, they work together to allow us to be self-sufficient, relaxed, fearless, and then to speak up and ask for what we want. And when we do that, then we're no longer needy. We are actually choosy. Instead of needing our partner, we are selective with our partner, right? So we're not afraid of losing them. If it's not a good fit, we actually encourage them to walk away, or we're going to walk away if we're not happy. We're going to speak up if we're not happy. So everything changes. And once we become that man who's willing to walk away, or that woman who's willing to walk away, who's respecting herself, who has that foundation of self-sufficiency, then we actually become that irreplaceable partner. We become naturally desirable. We don't have time to explain that much right now, but in a nutshell, when you're not afraid of losing your partner, and she knows that, they know that, that's what makes them want to be with us. That's what makes them not take us for granted, but rather appreciate being with us. Because that, our detachment, our fearlessness, that third shift, leads to uncertainty. So it leads to your partner feeling like, I could lose this person. So if you want your partner to love you forever, they need to think about you in these 2 ways, right? These 2 ways they need to think about you. They need to think, this is a great partner, this is a great person that I'm with, and I can lose them. And most of us in a relationship, we try to be the great person, but our partner doesn't think that they can lose us. They don't know that they can lose us. In fact, they know that we are needy toward them, and they feel like this guy or this woman needs me. So then she cannot desire us, right? Now, for our partner to be able to love us forever and desire us and appreciate us, again, she needs to think about us in these 2 ways. This is a great person that I want to be with, and I can lose them. So I'm happy with, I appreciate being with them, I like being with them, and I can lose them. So when we change our mindset from needy to secure, then we bring in that part of, and I can lose them, so that love can continue. It can, our partner can really be fully engaged and in love with us. Because now they know that they can lose us, which leads to uncertainty. That uncertainty is the source of attraction, the source of desire. You see, this uncertainty used to be in the beginning of the relationship when your partner just met you and you weren't kind of officially together, so you had all this passion. But then once she knows or he knows that you are hers, then desire goes away. So then the idea here is that once we become secure, this takes care of the relationship. This takes care of the attraction side. It takes care of the desire side. So we become a partner who is not only secure and relaxed, but also naturally attractive. And because you're not afraid of losing her, and she desires being with you, or he desires being with you, because of that desire, you become irreplaceable. Now, the irreplaceable part is a longer conversation to be had for you to understand how this happens. But again, for simplicity, the fact that you're not afraid of losing them makes you irreplaceable, makes you so engaging. It makes your partner be mentally, emotionally, and just in love with you. So once she's in love with you or he's in love with you, then you become the only man or woman in the world for your partner. Because you're no longer pushing her away with your needy mindset, with your neediness and niceness. You're actually attracting them and really making them happy in the way of being a person that your partner can respect and desire. All right? So that is the bridge, guys. And that is what allows us to move from hell to paradise. Now, let me tell you briefly a bit more about the Secure Mindset School. So if you resonate with this work, if you understand that this is what needs to change, like everybody will have to get to a point where they understand that if they want to have a proper relationship, where we have to really become secure and after a lot of pain and struggle, realize that actually my neediness, my codependency, my, this need to please people, this is exactly what's pushing them away. So everybody will have to eventually figure this out if they want to have a relationship. So if you want to do this inner work and really put in place this bridge and change the mindset, right? Have these 4 shifts, go deeply with them. We have a specific process that takes 6 weeks. This is going to be the first edition of the Secure Mindset School. So we're going to look at these 4 shifts plus a few more things. Again, we have a specific process that's very intense. We have certain workshops specifically designed, and where we interact together, not like here, but in a different kind of context. So it's still online. So in this, a series of specific workshops and a specific process that is very complete, and at the end, it actually goes deep, and at the end is simplified. That's what allows us to have that complete change and experience that turning point in your life. And once you become secure, then that's the way you get your ex back. That's the way that you become the kind of partner your ex wants to be back with. Or that's the way you save your relationship. That's the way you become ready for the next relationship, and you make sure that this is not your next relationship is not going to be ruined by the same needy mindset which is repelling people away, which eventually is going to be triggered and is going to push people away. So if you want to join us, we are accepting applications right now, this week. So from now on, this week, for the next 5 days, and then the applications are gonna be closed because we'll have to soon start the actual training in about 2 weeks. So you can go ahead and apply and see if we still have spaces. I would love to have you there if it's gonna make sense for you to join us. If you're a good fit and you're ready for it, then we'll have that 20-minute conversation and we'll see if you can join us. Because I would love you to have that transformation, and I would love the whole world to have that transformation of becoming secure instead of staying insecure and struggling with relationships over and over again, rather than finally having a chance to experience what we call relationship paradise. So yeah, that's it. This is the training. We're exactly 59 minutes in. I hope this made sense to you. I hope this gave you the clarity of what you need to do to change yourself as a man and to save your relationships and to properly have an amazing love life. It is my joy, it is my pleasure to help you and to show you this stuff. So if you feel inspired, join us and we'll take you from point A to point B properly. Cool. Have a good day, and I'm out. Take care.